This is why we have to be careful the kind of friends we keep. Some friends are just there to help you destroy your life, and you have to avoid those kind of friends. This is 24-year-old Moses Beatrice. Around the 14th of February 2025, Moses left home to go about his day. In Zuru community, Kebbi State, that day was Valentine's Day. He most likely went out with his girlfriend. And then around 8 p.m., he came back home to his dad. At this time, it was just he and his dad that was in the house. His mother had traveled and his sisters were in their husband's house, presumably. He's the only son. So when he came home around 8 p.m., it was said he made food for himself and his dad, and they both ate. So around 8:30 p.m., he got a phone call from his friend, Johanna, and so he left the house. It's not clear if he told his father where he was going, but he most likely told his dad that he was coming back. 8:30 p.m., he left the house. 9 o'clock, no show. 10 o'clock, his father started calling. 11 o'clock, his father kept calling. His phone was ringing, but no one was picking up. Even up till 12 midnight, Moses' father was trying to reach him because it's already late and he's not home. And clearly he was worried because he's not taking his calls. However, somewhere around 3 a.m. the next day, the 15th of February, Moses' father's phone rings, and it was Johanna's mother who called him. And what does the woman say in the phone call? Hello? Yeah, sir, this is Johanna's mother. So your son Moses came to our house last night because you locked the gate on him, so he did not have anywhere to sleep. So we let him into our house to sleep. However, yeah, he is dead. He did not wake up. He died in his sleep. So yeah, come get his body. All right, thank you. And that was how Moses' father got the news that his son had died in his sleep in his friend's house. Instantly, Moses' father rushes to the place and apparently sees his son lifeless. He most likely took him to the hospital where he was confirmed dead and taken him to the morgue. At this time, the family believed that Moses actually died in his sleep because visibly looking at him, his body was intact. No stabbing, no gunshot wounds, no injury. He seemed as though believable that this boy most possibly have died from his sleep because they were confused. He doesn't have an underlying health issue. He was healthy that day. He was fine when he left the house. So what could have happened between 8:30 to 3 a.m. the next day? Everyone believed he died from his sleep until words started going around and a video showing his last moment started circulating. What Johanna told people was that Moses came to his house, said his father had locked the gate, and he asked to stay in his house around 11 p.m. And according to the first story, Johanna claims he shifted in the bed and Moses slept next to him. The next morning when he was about to pee, he tried to wake Moses up. He didn't wake up. Another narrative that they said Johanna gave someone else was that Moses came to his house and he gave him another room because his siblings were not around and that his phone kept ringing. So in the middle of the night, he went to meet Moses to tell him to pick his call, and that was when he realized that Moses had died. And that was the same thing his mother was telling people because now someone had died in their house and people needed to know what had happened. And the narrative was just as plain as it is. The young man died in his sleep. And it's believable because again, no physical injury, no stabbing, no trauma, nothing. The boy looked peaceful. However, the family got a hold of a video that showed Moses sitting on Johanna's bed, his head bowed to his knee, like he was sleeping and resting his head on the knee. I don't know if I can show that video, but I may have to blow it on YouTube. You can check our Telegram, the video will be there. This video shows Moses in a very unusual position, almost as though he is sleeping on his knee while sitting on the bed. And someone, Johanna, recorded him and began sharing the videos to his friends in that moment. Apparently, he thought this was for jokes. However, what got Moses into that position? After telling everyone that this young man came late and slept in your house, he eventually told one of their close friends who began spreading the voice notes that when Moses came to his house, they went out to hang out and they went to buy kolos. They went to buy something to smoke. And apparently, He gave it to Moses to smoke, and eventually Moses said he wanted to relax. That was when Moses relaxes on his knees, sleeping on his leg. Joanna says that he was confused at that position and that he had to watch Moses, even have to film him, and that was when he made that video to send to people for a one-time view on WhatsApp. It's not clear, but Joanna may have left Moses in that position for so long, 1 hour to 2 hours. It was when he wanted to now eventually go to bed himself that he had to push him into the bed, and according to Joanna, Moses stretched like someone who is stretching, and somewhere along the line he figured out that Moses had died, and that was it. That was pretty much it. In the audio, he was telling his friend, he most likely thought that would be private, but now the friend has exposed it. He admits that they both took something, or pretty much Moses took something, and that was what affected him to act the way he did, that eventually cost him his life. But here's another thing again that the video also reveals, because the video had a timestamp on it that shows the time the video was taken, which was 9:51. Despite the fact that he is claiming in his story that Moses came to his house around 11, the video shows that Moses was in his house around 9, which is not long after Moses left his father's house.
Bro, uh, my brother soul rest in peace. Senior man, ba za na ɓoye ma ba. Duk wanda zai ce ma sai exact thing happen, to karya ne. Chama W na for my front, he saw when I no know. Ni ban san ta faru ba, ko da ta faru. Senior man. We just dey enter road cities to sit down, start on matters. Kawai irin hutu ka gane, where I can me rest before we start do this and tell me make I tie colos. Ka gane, make I tie colos in me rest. Ina irin ka kwanta ma cinyanka, ya zauna a gado ka kwanta ma cinyanka. Then say my guy don't pass out. You see fraud like that. The next thing we say, ya daɗe haka nan, come push am, sai kwanta ga gado. Ya miƙe bayan shi kenan. Me still I no still observe, because they relate now, we just dey relate. Baba sleep, say sleep no, fit make am sleep. Tunanin haka nan su ma. I dey think like that. Ma. Say person dey sleep for like how many hours? So I don't melt power. I don't tackle, make I wake this guy up. We dey alright. Then another week, no gree wake o. Another week, no gree wake. Another week, no gree wake. See mama. Ko ni in na ce ma na sanya ta faru to na ma karya. Amma kuwa, the change just happen, senior man. Me for this life, wey you see, for this life, I don't think my greatest challenge, greatest challenge for life. I dey face now like this, man.
So the fact that the family are hearing this and seeing the video and hearing the voice recording of this young man, it shows that this young man and his mother knew what happened to Moses, but decided to pass out a different narrative, that he died in his sleep, which is now sketchy, which is now suspicious, because it's almost as though they knew what they were doing. It's almost as though Joanna killed Moses. And rightfully so, Moses' family would believe that they killed their son. They had gone to the police, and the police comes to Joanna's house to look for him, to bring him in for questioning. But Joanna is no show. His mother is pretty much doing the Lord's job to hide him. She's going around telling them not to get angry, saying that she does not know where the son is. And I know she knows where the son is. Apparently, right now, Joanna is on the run. And there are rumors that his family is trying to get him out of Zulu community in Kebbi State. They want him to hide. He's about to travel. So this young man has no interest in facing the police. He has no interest to answer questions because he knows that he played a role in this young man's death. I personally feel that not only he should be questioned, his mother also. I feel like his mother knew, in my opinion. Hearing the story, I was like, it's a screaming murder in all of this. I feel like Joanna figured out that Moses had died long before 3 a.m. That he had figured it out and then went to tell his mother. And in that situation, his mother, who is a nurse, by the way, clearly thought that the best thing right now is to pass out the narrative that he died in his sleep. Maybe as a nurse, she most likely tried to do her best and noticed that she couldn't do anything and decided to come up with the story that he died in his sleep. That's why they most likely waited till 3 a.m. because that's the only way to make sense. That way to make sense that the boy slept in the house. Remember, the father kept calling him. He was supposed to come home. So it's ironic that Moses would say that the father locked the gates when the father has been calling him to come home all through the night. Make it make sense. So who is lying? Is the father lying? Or is the woman and her son lying? I think Joanna and his mother were the ones lying. Moses was not locked out of the gate. He's the only son. I don't know why the father would want to do that. And at the same time, why would the father keep calling? Which he actually also admitted in one of his versions that the phone was ringing and he went to the room to tell him to pick his phone. So if the father is calling, so why is Moses saying the father locked the gate? That is a lie cooked up by the mother of Joanna to first of all give a reason, to first of all put the blame on the family. It's a way of saying, you should not have kicked your son out, you should not have locked the gate. And that is why I feel like Johanna's mother is pretty much a part of this cover-up. And yes, I don't think this is a case of murder. I don't see Joanna going in for murder. I see him probably going in for manslaughter because his negligence most likely caused his death. I understand that maybe Moses willingly partook in taking the colors in his presence, but from my knowledge of things, he may have died from the position that he was when he was done smoking whatever he smoked or whatever he took. That position is visibly uncomfortable. Having to rest your head and slouch your head on your knee for maybe over an hour, I don't see how anyone can breathe like that. And I think that is what killed Moses, in my opinion. People take colos all the time, and I think like the word colos, you would have to run mad, I guess. I'm not sure, but having to rest in that position is looking like he needed help. He needed someone to lay him properly. And Joanna did not. This is why you got to be careful what kind of friends you keep. Joanna saw this boy in that position, and what he thought to do was to film him and send to people. It was when the boy kept being in that position for so long that he became concerned and decided to push him on the bed. And that's when he claimed the boy stretched. One thing I know about people who take overdose or alcohol, pretty much, some people have died from just the way they slept after being drugged. I know somebody who died from drowning in his own vomit because he was laid on his back after being passed out. So when he was about to vomit, he couldn't, somebody needed to turn him over because with the way he lay down, the vomit couldn't come out, and so the person choked and drowned. So I know the position in which people are placed after they have been induced by drugs or alcohol or something plays a role in the long-term effect of how these things, would play out. And I think that position that Moses was left to be in for nearly over an hour would have been the time he died. Because I don't imagine nobody sleeps like that for so long. How do you breathe? And given that Joanna had to see it and not do anything until it was too late, pretty much in my opinion, means that he played a role in his death. Something he did or did not do caused his death. And I wish Joanna would just turn himself in, because I'm also hearing from the sister of Moses that a man came to their home to pay condolence visit and said that his own son suffered the same fate in Joanna's hand. That Joanna did the same thing to the man's son. Only the law was that the man had to come to the house to take his son to the hospital. And that if he had not showed up, he would have also lost his son too. And it's frustrating because Moses' father kept calling his phone. Maybe if Joanna had picked and be like, sir, your son did this, your son took this, maybe the man would have come and taken Moses and given Moses the help that he needed. Because clearly his friend was negligent. It's just unfortunate because, this is a young man that is supposed to do his NYC. He's a graduate. Joanna is a dropout. This is why, you see, kind of friends people keep. A dropout. Dropped out. All he does is colos and smoke weed and do drugs. And this young man pretty much finished school and had his own life and had a good path for himself. But see the friend he kept. See it here. This is the friend. This is why when you make friends or when your children are making friends, just got to be careful. If he had books to read or a path, he would not encourage somebody like Moses who maybe hasn't even taken this. Maybe this was his first time. Given that this is what he does, introduce his friends to colos and all the wild drugs because he has no education, pretty much that is what you get. And I'm sure this is Moses' longtime friend because I think there are videos of them hanging out. So this is like a crew. So it's just unfortunate that Moses loses his life like this because he was friends with somebody like this. I hope you guys share this video because more people need to be careful the kind of friends they make. And also share this video because we are still looking for Joanna. The family and the police are looking for him and he's trying to run away. He's trying to avoid taking accountability. He's trying to avoid telling the story of what happened because he has lied multiple times with his mother and they are trying to protect him. He's about to travel out of Zuru. So wherever you want to travel to, everybody will see this video and your face will be everywhere.